Chapter 5, Lost Love, or Love Lost. Dazinga's frustration with DeQue was subsistent. They had broken up before and got back together a few times, but this seemed like the last and final time. Everyone knew he was depressed and always talked about how he missed her. But she would get in touch with Ron, find out where he was, and pop up out nowhere all the time. It felt like they were like oil and water, but one thing they knew for sure was that they loved each other. Truth be told, she made more money than him, and they simply felt less than a man because of it. She was trying to buy him a car, but he wanted to get his driver's license straightened out first and then buy a car. He didn't want to go to jail for not having licenses like before, so I was trying to convince her that if she wanted to do something for him, she could pay to renew his license, which cost 500 pesos instead of buying an 800 pesos car. If he got his license renewed, he could get a better job and buy his own car. One of Ron's friends who owned a few bed and breakfasts, moved Dazinga into one of his places, on the request of Ron so he could be closer to town in the Atlanta's West End neighborhood. It was there with many college students from all over the world, and there were just a handful of regular tenants who were not in college. They had befriended a few guys from Botswana, who would take weekend trips to different colleges and they would take him with them. West Virginia, Ohio, Florida. One of the guys was named Edwin Cher, would make him go with him, to keep his mind busy and off of take. Mammalean just burst out laughing. Hold on. She continued to laugh. Hold on. I forgot to tell you about the time Ron took Dazinga to a gay club. This was before he moved in with Dick. Dazinga was downstairs, and Ron had called him, Dazinga, yo. Man. I'm fin go out to the club, if you wanna go, I got you. Dazinga walked up the stairs. Sit, which one? 112. Diamonds and pearls. 20 grand. Which one? Ron smiled. Neither. Downtown. Dazinga paused and gave Ron a crazy look, with the highest pitch one can imagine. I ain't going to your kind of club. Ron looked like he was again said, nah man, I just need you come up there until Jonathan come through. I got you. He's going out of town and I need to give him 500 pesos. I didn't want him to be running around the club all night looking for me because he's already late for his flight. Just sit at the bar and leave when he leaves. They arrived at the club and Dazinga was just looking at the cars. This made fix, got money. Ron shook his head. Oh yeah. These people are professionals. Athletes, singers, actors, businessmen and women and all kinds of folks. And they don't mind spending it. Ron gave Dazinga $50. Here, this is for you until Jonathan arrives, and this is for Jonathan. Just hang out at the bar, and if anybody approached you, Dazinga said, nay, I know. Approaching the bar, Dazinga raised his hand to the bartender. Rum and coke, please. A stranger looked at the bartender. Put it on my tab. Dazinga looked at the man. Thanks, but I'm not gay. I will only be here for a little while, waiting on a friend's friend. I saw a beautiful woman across from him smiling. You can't seem to get a break, easy. Dazinga smiled, nodding here. Are you? He paused because he didn't want to offend, but she smiled. Yes, I'm a woman. Before they knew it, he was sitting next to her, but as soon as sat down, another beautiful woman tapped him on the shoulder. Yo, my Nick, that's my bitch. He just sat there and was approached 3 more times before looking for Ron. These male figs are aggressive as hell in here. Hell, they are worse than Smithy's ass. Yeah, be outside, and when Jonathan gets here, I'm carrying my ass home. Don't you ask me to come out here again. Ever. Right when I got outside, not knowing Jonathan was already there and seen him going out the door, Jonathan tapped him on the shoulder. Man, Dazinga, thought it was someone else and knocked Jonathan straight out. Mammalean laughed even harder. The man missed his flight and everything, out cold on that cold ass, concrete. After Mammalean finished laughing, she wiped the tears from her eyes. Okay, and out of that. She sighed. One particular day, I heard Edwin calling him, yo, my man. Dazinga, someone's out there for you. It was Dick. Dazinga shook his head. How did you find me? They both said simultaneously. Ron. It had been a few months since they had seen each other, and she was attending a new church and was happy, learning a lot of stuff that Desinga taught her. But there was something about what she was telling him about the church that made Desinga have a feeling of uneasiness. They were together for a while and rekindled a lot of the old feelings they had for one another. They started making love, but Desinga felt there was something about it, that she felt it wasn't right. She started crying, and Desinga quickly stopped. "I never want you to feel this way again, however long it is. I will what?" The cat lost her Avenger apartment, and the only thing that came to mind was him talking about Sabbaths. She eventually moved in with Desinga and she started telling his roommates at the bed and breakfast about the church. Edwin enjoyed listening to her because she was babbling but insisted that they worshipped his ancestors and Christ was nothing more than a myth to him, like Zeus. Desinga and a few more saw the disappointment in her eye, and everyone else went to church with her that Sunday. As in the Zealand started thinking about how everything was perfect for them and just wanted it to be the way things were before. They would sit up late talking about old times, and brought, on Stone Road, I met a prince that became my queen, to those who's listening understand what I mean. Together, it seems like it was forever. But it only lasted a few years. Sharing laughter, happiness, and tears. Everything was at first, like peaches and cream. But that is how it all starts, if you know what I mean. The love we shared was what Ibe always looked for. When she was depressed, he was there to relieve some of the stress. Cheer her up, with the words of God. Those words would go so far. When he was down, she would be there acting like a clown. Laughter from me would be so loud, it would somehow gather a crowd. Then one day, we had a big fight. Over something so petty. Now, there was someone else cheering her up, with the words of God. Calling me the devil. Evil and mean. She became traditional in my eyes, something I can't stand to see. I lost my prize, my prince, my queen. 5 years have passed, yet and still. When I dream, I see her smile, her laughter, her beautiful eyes. Wishing I never lost her. Having space for her, still in my heart. Being the first, to pull me apart from myself, from my fantasy. Make me feel reality. I don't know that she loved me, knowing that she did care. In my heart, is still all, the laughter, the cries. The dreams we shared, it was a heavy load, when I lost my queen. On Stone Road. Desinga went to the church, looking around was special because it was at a local 5-star hotel in downtown Atlanta. They don't have a building. Dek smiled, no. Desinga smiled, interesting, no overhead, and the words that the preacher said were not alarming to him. Still, the subject matter wasn't anything complicated, for it was talking about loving one another. But after the services, Desinga asks, "It's time to go, right?" Dek said, "No. We have to get into our groups." "The men's groups over there." Desinga said, "The men's group." Dek spoke to one of the gentlemen passing by. "Excuse me, is new here. Can you take him where he needs to be?" the young man said. "Sure, follow me." They entered a room down the hall. There were men of all ages, and they sat down and started introducing themselves. It was Desinga's turn, and stood up. "Hi, my name is Desinga, and I'm here because my girlfriend just started going to this church, and I just wanted to check it out." And he took a seat. A man stood up. "Hi, I'm Richard. Do you want to be sad?" Desinga replied, "I already have a personal relationship with my creator." "Thank you for asking." The man said, "Having a personal relationship with your creator is not enough." Desinga had a look on his face. "Excuse me. I beg to differ." The man smiled. "We will sign a few guys to help you if you don't mind." Desinga said, "It is cool, I do it for DeQue." 3 young men approached Desinga and introduced themselves, and they agreed to meet up at a nearby park the next day. They met at a park of Campbellton Road, around noon. Desinga smiled and took a seat on the park bench, and the 3 young, who were around his age, had their Bible in their hands. Again, they didn't call it the tour back then. They introduced themselves again. "Glad you could make it." Desinga smiled. "No problem, but why did we have to meet up?" One guy who appeared to be the group leader said, We do this to see where you stand with God and see where we can help you. Dazinga had a funny look on his face. Stand with God? Do you have a direct line to call to see if you and he agree with me? Romans 10, 9-10, tells me how to be saved, and I'm responsible for my own salvation, not you. They all pulled out their Bible and searched for the scripture that Dazinga had called out, as one of them read the scripture aloud, and Dazinga, who didn't bring his, but followed along with one of the gentlemen next to him. If you openly declare that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For it is by believing in your heart that you are made right with God and by openly declaring your faith that you are saved. The man smiled. We are all guilty of sin, and we simply help each other where we can, by being supportive and encouraging each other. The singer said, I like that more than what you said earlier. Oh, okay, that's cool and all, but as sinners ourselves, we can't be judgmental of another man when he falls or backslides in our point of view. Cause 7 Peter led and was too fed, and they walked with Christ. The young man said, too fed? What do you mean? When was Peter ever too fed? The singer shook his head. When did it happen? It was in the book of Acts when Paul said something about it, and it's in Galatians 2, 11-3, and it damaged a faith in Christ because, and the quote in verse 17. So that by their hypocrisy even Barnabas was led astray. Now, do we have to read along with every single quote? Why don't one of y'all write this shit? Stopped himself from cursing, out of respect for them and continued, why don't one of y'all write this stuff down? Realizing the young men were biased themselves, Dazinga said, Peter, you acted one way around a certain person or group of people, we each call them Gentiles. Was nice and friendly, but on the other hand, when the people he normally hung around with came around him, let's call them Jews, when he was with the Gentiles, he would act as if he was not with the Gentiles. The two groups were not supposed to hang with each other, and Saul, who was renamed Paul, saw him being two-faced and confronted them. Dazinga said, I'm sorry, you guys are babies in Christ. Why did they send you to me? Everyone knows what Romans 10, 9-10 says. The guy that was leading the group said, I'm not begging Christ, I've been saved for 3 years. Dazinga said, 3 years, you should know what Romans says. The person got offended, and Dazinga saw it in his face. Look, you don't go off how long a person has been saved, you go off on how much they have learned or the wisdom they have received. I know people who have been going to church all their lives and have learned nothing more than how to quote scriptures, especially Psalms and Proverbs. Then I know someone who was saved for 1 year, and he still forgot all. In learning and researching the scriptures, he was wiser than that man that had gone to church all his life. That's how you teach people, not you teaching them, but rather they learn for themselves. Salvation is more than repeating what you heard from someone standing in front of the pulpit, but knowing what you know without doubting. That still draws you in like a magnet, and then God no longer becomes your God, but your friend. If you don't remember anything that I've said, remember this. Time in God's eyesight, according to the word of God, a day could be 1,000 years and 1,000 years is unto a day. The person who was keeping notes by writing the scriptures down earlier said, what verse is that? Dazinga looked at him and smiled. The thousands of years part is in 2 Peter 3:8. However, everything else is my words from my experiences. Look, a evil does is proud on an individual's weaknesses, and it's their weakness, for every man has a weakness, and after a while, once you give into that weakness, you allow a demon who masters that particular weakness to come in. God looks at our heart and man looks at the outer appearance because we can't see a person's heart. Humans can put on an nice appearance but be a piece of shit. Dazinga laughed, in making a piece of shit in a dress. That is what we see. The men looked at Dazinga with a strange look, demons. The group leader said to the young men that came with him, demons just means weakness. Dazinga said, no, the hell it don't. Demon means a spiritual entity that comes in and possesses you. In Mark 5, 10-20, Jesus was talking to actual demons. How do you think there is a God and angels in the world, but there is no devil with demons? I guess you haven't gotten to the part about Lucifer and the fallen angels, a mere 3 years. Dazinga looked at the person. Writing the scriptures down, Ezequiel 28, 12-19, and Isaiah 14, 12-14. Just like God, as archangels and regular angels, the devil has imitated God with major demons, minions, and demonic spirits. What about Mary Magdalene? She was demon-possessed. Dazinga thought about Lydia and said, I know plenty of people just like you who feel that way and very few people who think like I do. But I get my example out of the Bible and they get their understanding from people just like you. But as the years go by, your kind of thinking is getting worse by the generations. The person who was leading the group said, I have to get back to you, and we can have another meeting in a few days. However, that person did not call Dazinga, another person did, and they set up a meeting a few days later. These people were much older than Dazinga and met at a park near downtown Atlanta. They introduced themselves with a smile. You must be the guy who impressed and confused our younger brothers in Christ, Dazinga said. Confused. The man started quoting scriptures, and Dazinga said, I didn't come to debate God, or have a scripture quoting contest. I just came to see what my girlfriend was getting herself into, and to be honest, you guys are as backward thinking. You guys are no more than a bunch of boys teaching boys, the blind leading the blind, and you know how that's going to end. The man asked, how? Dazinga laughed, in a ditch. Irritated, the man said, are you having sex with DeQue? Dazinga said, that's none of your business. Why would you ask such a thing? My God searches the heart and doesn't see things as men do because he sent us a redeemer. The man said, if you are having sex, you're sinning. It's a lying sign. Dazinga went off. If we were at war, would you take someone whose skills are in cooking, or maybe even an auto mechanic? Would you put him on the front line of a battle, not because you lack men, but because you want him to die, so you can have or even marry his wife? David did. What about Paul? Was he not a serial killer who loved murdering Christians? If someone is always drunk, is he a righteous person, like Noah? Elisha was chosen by God, was he over the top for killing the children that mocked him? The man saw the frustration. That's not the same thing, Dazinga said to them. Sin is sin, aliar as the same sin as a murderer, and those two sins are equal. There is no sin greater than another. Have you ever lied about taxes to get more money? Or maybe tell a bill collector you weren't at home? A well-known prostitute that walked by them and said to them in the heat of the moment, what if God told you to go marry a known prostitute? Would you do it? Josiah did that. Hell, Rahab was a prostitute. There is no person here on earth and not around me who is sinless. If you knew what your pastor did behind closed doors. Many would leave God, because your fight is in your preacher or pastor, not God. Frustration had kicked in, and Dazinga just walked off. On his way home, he began writing on the bus, sin. You've got me mad, I'm tired of being sad. Saying, a man can live without sin. Are you crazy or a fool? Who really needs to go back to school? Sin reigns in our lives until the day we die because we refresh. Many leading, or shall I say misleading others to believe a lie. Then, there are those who separate. DB. Why can't you see outside of the flesh? Seek knowledge, wisdom and understanding. That's being spiritual. Thinking outside of sin and then judgment. See your faults, not others. For your life is yours, no one else's. Teach those who will listen, and let them see their was, their sins. You got them saying I'm Baptist, Muslim, Presbyterian, Catholic, Jehovah's Witness. Trying to show which is better, was the best. What a silly test. I say, who gives a damn? It is a shame if you call upon his name, separating while he is trying to unite. A long, endless fight. Reading, but don't understand. Speaking without wisdom, no knowledge. The people you teach only care because your fight is theirs. They don't have any fight of their own. They hand on every word out of your mouth, which is filled with lies. Following you everywhere, as if heard the Lord Christ. They are following you to hell, fools of folly to them. Saying, life is nothing but enjoyment, richness, and laughter. No pain? Are you insane or have you gone mad? How do they learn? When you have pain, real enjoyment is louder than. Understanding sadness brings about happiness. You earn, you learn, you understand. However, you burn in your last. Last, when it is conceived, it brings forth sin. Dazinga never returned to the church, but they started asking people who lived with them to, and one of Dazinga's roommates started going to DeQue's church regularly with her. Dazinga had already lost her aunts, and when they came back, they would be talking and laughing. Insecurities and jealousy kicked in, and they created a scene in front of them. She was not only embarrassed but amused. She packed her bags and left. Later on, that day, the roommate approached him. All this time, you were talking about her. He would never try anything with her, plus we would talk about you more than the church. Embarrassed already, Dazinga said. I'm sorry, but when you lose someone once and see that person laughing and joking with someone else, he was jealous. He overreacted. He don't like that church she goes to, and you have to let her go. He fight with anybody, but he will never try to fight God, says in his hands, especially now, cause he don't fucked up. Months went by, and still no DeQue. Depression kicked in again, and Dazinga started drinking. One night, he was lying in bed, and he wondered if he was sleeping. The room was wet and covered with clouds. He heard a voice, Dazinga. He stood up, and in front of him was a partition or bush with a tall man wearing a wig sitting down. Avea said. The man said. The man began speaking to Dazinga, telling him things he needed to hear, but Dazinga did not hear a word he was saying. Dazinga cried, he will always be a servant for Zapatos, and that will never be any doubt, but will he ever see DeQue again? Dazinga asked. The man said. We will talk about that later, and continued to talk to Dazinga, but Dazinga was not paying any attention. The man stopped and looked at Dazinga. You will see DeQue again, but it will be a while from now. Dazinga got excited. How long? The man, frustrated, looked at Dazinga. You see. Here came. But the words you just ignored shall not be repeated. And the room turned back to normal. Dazinga rested in his bed and looked around, then laid back down and drifted off to sleep. Months passed, and Edwin saw that Dazinga was very knowledgeable about technology and encouraged him to attend college. And signed up a few weeks later and started attending Atlanta Metropolitan College for Electronic Technology but had to transfer back to Southern University in Shreveport, Louisiana, to finish. He came back from the train station a few months before starting school, crying. He realized that you have to see God on your own. It cannot be forced. You will see God, and God will see you, but if he won't be there when he does, and, through the help of God, I created a perfect woman, but for another man. It was the last time I heard from her until after those 30 years, of course, but graduated from college in 2001 with 3 degrees in electronic technology, computer science, and in engineering and moved back to Atlanta. I searched for her for a month, trying to remember where her old college roommate lived, but forgot her name and couldn't remember where she lived. He also went to Ron's last known address but had no luck. Sad and broken-hearted, he just went to work at Scottish Rite Hospital and left his dreams behind him. Mammalean was crying, and Cush had tears in his eyes as well. Whatever happened to them? How was Justin born if they parted ways? Mammalean wiped the tears from her eyes and smiled. It was about 25 years later. Dazinga had married a woman who didn't respect him and had cheated on him more times than one can count. They had 2 girls, Nafisa and Sarteri, and they separated, leaving Dazinga to raise the 2 girls on his own. He had done one of those searches for DeQue on the internet and found her. She had moved back home to St. Thomas, after her father had died. They had not seen or heard from one another in 30 years. DeQue had no children after all these years and was told that she couldn't, but by a miracle, they had a son, and in honor of his first son, he had never really had the chance to know. They named him Justin, and without that Justin, none of us would be here today. He is our descendant. Mammalean goes through an old trunk. Here it is, now. I put it here just for my story today. Look, I found this, and I don't know when it was written. I'm guessing when I was in college. Clearingers wrote, it's called M.S.T. Pen. These words of men come from the within. Straight from the earth. There is a situation that I find hard to deal with. Cause I never knew love until I found it with you. Love like yours is truly missed, remembering our first dance, first fight. Our first kiss. March 23, 1993. We first met, I was reading, you were at your desk, at Southwest. My dream has come true. 20 de noviembre de 1995 was when my whole world became blue. Now, Julio 8, 1999, the dreams are still here, but you are nowhere near. Wondering where are you? Seeing your face, every time I close my eyes. Hoping it's not a dream, because of how real they seem. A Caribbean girl, 11 my Caribbean queen. Now just a mere image in my dreams. The walks in the park, the talks that lasted all night, gave me chills. I enjoyed just calling your name. I called you the day. My Eve, my queen, my everything. You were the whole world to me. And now together, we made things happen. Thinking we had the perfect blend. The unknown, thinking we could win. What happened? M.S.T. Pen. Mammalean smiled, you see, Dazinga married Dick, and they had Justin. Justin named his firstborn after his father, Dazinga, instead of Ajani, you know the rest, Cush said. Yes, I do. Dazinga ad Alenia, Alenia ad Namito. Cush looked at Mammalean, saying, is it because one man's love for his woman enables a generation of fearless people for Sabbaths? Cush stopped and asked, Mammalean? What happened to Ron? She smiled. Shortly after Dazinga and Dick departed, he ran across Missy, and Missy informed Dazinga that Ron was close to death and gave him his location. Dazinga rushed to see Ron and convinced him to visit Livia's church. Ron had tubes in his chest and lost a lot of weight, hoping that Livia was still where he thought they were. They headed to her church, but they ridiculed Dazinga for bringing the man to their church. Disappointed and heartbroken, Dazinga realized who Livia and her followers were for the first time, so he never saw them again, and Ron died a few months later of AIDS. Mammalean shook her head, yet. Rubbing your eyes, Mammalean said, that's it for tonight, get you some rest, young man, I tell you about what I know of Ajani y DeQue on tomorrow.